Hey, everybody, it's your friend James Shaw. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so glad you're here. You know, we're doing what we do, which is talk to elite people who are doing elite things. And I'm excited to have today's guest. If you were at family reunion or were watching any of the social media after family reunion, you know who our guest is. Hey, Marisel, how you doing?
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about, which is something you'll never forget for the rest of your life, and it was one of the most unique experiences I've ever witnessed in the 19 family reunions I've attended, and I walked away full of emotion. I can't imagine how you walked away. We're going to talk about you getting on stage with Mel Robbins at family reunion in a minute. But before we do that, will you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them who you are and where you are, and a little bit about you.
Yes, my name is Marisel Polizzo. I am with Keller Williams, Corona, California. I've been a realtor for a little over a year now. I'm a mother of four, and I'm also an RN.
Oh, that's great. I love that. My mom's a nurse, also has been for a long time. Actually, went to Loma Linda, which is not far from you, and I
Right.
was born in Riverside, so close to you. So, anywho, very cool. You went to family reunion. Your first time at family reunion, right?
Yes.
And I understand you told your team leader you couldn't go.
Yes, actually, I did. She put me on the spot and she said she knew I'd say that, so she was making it available to me to make payments.
She wanted you there. Why do you think your
She
team
did.
leader and who tell us who your team leader is?
Wendy Gonzalez.
Why do you think Wendy Gonzalez wanted you to be at this family reunion? Why was she taking a stand for you?
I think she felt that family reunion was super impactful and that she knew I was really trying and putting effort into growing and expanding my business. And I think she thought that I would benefit a lot from the experience.
I think she might have been right.
I think she was probably spot on.
And she said all that without knowing that this was going to happen right here. This is you on stage with Mel Robbins, who has one of the top podcasts on the planet, has a best-selling book, is an amazing speaker. I learned so much from her. And she goes out into the crowd, and actually she walked right by me as she's doing this, and I was doing this, please don't pick me. And I like being on stage, but I'm doing this, please don't pick me. And she said she wanted to help someone kind of overcome their fear. And here she's walking around and she gets to you. Can you tell us about what that was like, that moment that Mel Robbins said, so who are you?
Yeah, it was definitely surreal. I did notice her coming our way, and I casually leaned back in the chair and kind of hid behind my hair and started looking at my phone because I could feel the excitement from everybody around, and it started to make me a little bit nervous. But then I thought I was in the clear when she walked a little bit further. I thought I could have swore she went the other direction. And lo and behold, I looked up and she was right in between my legs, really, literally. And I just was mortified, completely mortified.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that have recorded it. We're going to put a link in the comments to this of a video where if you want to watch the entire thing of Maricel doing this thing with Mel Robbins, you can. But she picked you, and here you are in front of, I don't know, 10, 12, 13, 15, 18,000 people. And she's this is a segment about overcoming fear. Well, were you scared? Like, did you have like fear going through your whole body in that moment?
Yes, I think my natural reaction was just to immediately say no to her. Like I saw her presence and I said no, and she said yes. And then I was too far deep into the whole thing. So I got up, I did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just was like, okay, dear God, just use me for what you want to use me in this moment.
Yeah. Well, and he did. In the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is Mel's way to kind of overcome fear and just go do the thing you know you're supposed to do. Just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it. And she says once you started counting down, you've already made the decision. So Mel had 3 envelopes, and she said, "All right, are you willing to overcome some fears?" And you told her you're shaking, that you're scared, you don't know what's going on. You said you're having trouble breathing, which is scary because you're a nurse. The whole deal. And you open envelope number 1, and it says what?
You're going on stage with Mel.
All right, so you've got to now go. What flashes through your mind at that moment that now, at least now you're, that moment you're sitting with your market center and your people, but now you got to go get up on stage. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I was not wanting to disappoint anybody, so I was like, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yes. But then my feet didn't want to move. And then with that 5 second window, I started thinking of every single reason why I shouldn't go on stage and just had this rush of fear. But she held on to me and, the power of a hug. And she helped me get up there on stage. So
All right, so you go
it's
up on
just
stage, and
tremendous.
could you feel though the energy of the room like supporting you? Is that something I'm curious because I could feel it all around me. Everybody's paying attention. They're cheering you on as you're going up there. Is that something you noticed? Could you feel that from them, or were you just kind of like, what's happening?
The sensation that went throughout my whole body was just super intense. And she asked me a couple times to look at the camera. I was just overwhelmed. And then just looking in the audience was a little overwhelming for me. I could feel everybody just excited, but I was just still having difficulty breathing. And once I was up there, I could feel the level of anxiety going slightly down as she distracted my thoughts.
Well, how did that happen? How do you think your anxiety went down as you go deeper into this process?
As I went deeper and she was speaking to me, I felt almost like one, the hug helped tremendously. I felt a little bit of comfort there. And then realizing, okay, it's not that bad. I still haven't died. So I just started to realize that as real as my fear was, it still wasn't truthful.
Interesting. All right, so she says, let's open envelope number two. Remember, there's three envelopes. So you open envelope number two, and it says,
It says, sing a favorite song. And I
okay,
think
now
I
she,
about lost it.
I've almost lost it for you. And fortunately, she helped you out, right? She did you a
She
favor.
sure did.
Yeah. And said, all right, whose birthday is it? Let's sing happy birthday. And you all sang, we kind of all sang it together and all that kind of stuff. So it got you through that. But I can't imagine in that moment that, again, I don't know how many people were there, 15,000 or so, and you've got to sing a song. But you've said something through this process, especially after singing the song, that your nerves and anxiety and fear, this is what you said. I don't know if it's true. You tell me, was going down step by step.
Yes, it was certainly going down. It was hard to explain because at first it was just almost paralyzing. And then as I was up there, it almost kind of gained momentum of like my actions. I was actually doing it. I was seeing that I can do it. And I could see that I was still safe and nothing was really, really happening to me other than a positive impact. So I felt more inclined to continue. And I think I started to feel some comfort in the whole process.
Yeah. You opened envelope number three and it said,
Envelope number three said that I won a free ticket for next year to the convention, so family reunion. So I was super excited about that. And she was so sweet. She asked me, what I had learned throughout the whole ordeal. And it was definitely that our fears, our limited beliefs, they block us from so many things, and they're not real at
yeah,
all. They're just thoughts that paralyze us in the moment. So
we're going to
that
talk more
action
about
is
it.
definitely rewarded.
Yeah, no kidding. We're going to talk more about it in a minute. You snapped this picture with her that I showed earlier, and I don't know. It's just totally awesome. What a great photo, and you look so happy, and I'm just so proud of you. But the thing is, you've been on quite the journey the last few years.
Yes, definitely I have. I would
Tell us
definitely
what's
have
been
to
going
say.
on. You said it. Your journey really through to this kind of moment started 7 years ago. Walk us through what's been going on in your world so we can have an appreciation as to the impact that overcoming fear has had on your life already.
So about 7 years ago, my son was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And at the time, the insurance company wouldn't cover the treatment that he needed. He needed blood plasma every couple months, and that was costing over $10,000. So I had no other option than just to continue to work. So I would work my 12-hour shifts, sometimes 22 days in a row, in order to make all that extra money in order to cover the costs. But in doing so, a lot of things started to happen, and I was in a very abusive relationship at the time, and I had been married for quite some time. So I had to make the choice to leave that relationship. And in time, that cost me everything, like my home, my car, my lifestyle, and changed the trajectory of my life and the life that I had created for so long with my children. About a month after moving, I was taking care of a patient that wasn't tested for COVID, and I had gotten COVID from this patient, but I had a near-death experience where I lost my ability to speak and my ability to walk. I couldn't move the entire left side of my body, and I spent about a month in bed. This was prior to them finding vaccines and so forth. So after that, I was having quite a bit of pain, and they checked spinal taps and brain scans, and they found that I had a tremendous amount of pressure in the brain. And so they had to do surgery, but because the level of COVID being so high, I had to wait, and I was bedridden for a few months, and then they would try surgery, but the first several attempts was not successful, and they finally were successful about 8 months into it, and then the shunt that they had placed in my spine fell out, and then they had to do it all over again, causing a lot of damage and loss of spinal fluid. So I spent quite a bit of time in bed, and then finally I ended up with brain surgery. And so I think I had a total of 12 surgeries, including the last one that I had in June to repair the spinal damage that I had. So I did have a lot of time to reflect and see different things. And I came to the conclusion that you either stop believing or believe harder. And I was definitely trying to fight for my life, to, live longer for my children. And when Mel was saying about courage is sometimes just getting out of bed, that couldn't have been any more true. Like, just to get out of bed to go to the bathroom, or just to make them a meal, it took a lot out of me. And seeing yourself go from something so vibrant and then being, just your whole life being shattered, takes a big toll on you, and then, kind of limits you. And then you start to tell yourself things that aren't true. And then you just start to limit yourself and what you can do. So it's been very impactful and very life-changing, but I've seen the goodness of God in everything that's happened to me, and the way everything has played out, and how it brought me here to real estate, and just so many different things. I've been seriously blessed.
No kidding. You
Mhm.
Now you tell that story, and it takes you 2 minutes to tell a 7-year story of all sorts of stuff. Your son, how's your son doing?
He's doing okay. It's
Yeah.
lifelong process, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
he's
process.
doing well. He is
Good.
doing well.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you first this with your son, then you choose to leave the relationship because you need to get out of there, which causes you to lose everything else. Now, was this interaction with the patient really before COVID had really taken off? Is this early on?
Yes, so it
Yeah.
was in June or July of 2020.
All right. So
So there's no
June,
vaccines.
summer of 2020, you're doing your thing. You are out there
Mhm.
trying to save lives and help people as a frontline worker, as a nurse. You're working 12-hour shifts, day after day after day after day,
24-hour shifts at
24-hour
that
shifts, day
time.
after day
Yeah.
after day after day, because A, they need you to, B, you need to help take care of your son who needs it, and you're
Mhm.
restarting your life at this time. Then you get COVID from a patient, and you have one of the most unique COVID experiences I've ever heard, which is leading to all of these other issues. Marisel, how did you keep going?
My goodness, a lot of people ask me that, and they think I think I wrote this on my Facebook as well. It's just kind of when the fear of dying is stronger than the illness, you find a will just to keep going. And, the thought of my kids not having me just it just scared me so much that I did everything that I could in my power to get better, to keep trying, to wake up every day and just to keep going. Like I looked through my faith and just continuously when I didn't have the strength, I honestly just read my Bible and I just read stories that gave me inspiration.
I read once that when you are in adversity, when you're in really hard times, it feels like that those hard times will never end. Then once you've gotten through them, as you reflect on them, they seem shorter. They seem like a blip. They just seem like a part of your life and you were able to conquer it. I'm curious about in the adversity, and you still have adversity. You're now launching a real estate business. You still have a son who needs treatment, plus other kids you're raising, and still in this process of rebuilding your world. But as you reflect on that intense adversity that you were in during that time, what were some day-to-day things that just allowed you to get up and make a little bit of progress that day and then a little bit of progress the next day? How did you do that?
My kids, I have at the time, I think she was 6, she was starting kindergarten, and just her smile and keeping them around. My 17-year-old at the time, she really took charge and she learned how to drive so she could take me to doctor's appointments. It's just, I had a lot of love from my kids that I had devoted my entire life to. And, it just, I found like purpose in that, in meaning in that. And I don't know, I was just like not going anywhere, I had to be with them.
Yeah.
So
Oh my goodness. You are in real estate now. How long have you been selling?
mhm. About a year and a few months.
Did you choose to get into real estate just because, look, you needed to move on from nursing? That was something that wasn't going to work, or are you still acting as a nurse? Or tell me about how you chose your transition into real estate.
So I'm not technically cleared to do nursing just yet. And so I wasn't gonna sit down and just let life pass me by. I sat down and I did some type of reflection and looked at my attributes and my history of the things that I had done previously. And I had a lot of knowledge in construction and so forth. So I thought, oh, I could do real estate. I had seen a documentary really, and I was like, "Oh," as naive as it sounds,
Yeah.
"I can do that." And
Yeah.
I called a friend, that helped me sell my house during my divorce and, remember his impact that he made on me in selling my house and the way he treated me. And I thought, "Oh, I can do this. I have with the faculties that I have, I'm still able to go ahead and do this." But I didn't think completely through it
Yeah.
in
Most people
regards
don't. Yeah.
to no, in regards to everything that it takes, like being seen and so forth like that. I thought, oh, I know how to work hard. I can do paperwork. I know about houses, no problem. I live people. I can help people. But there's other parts of the business as well that you have to work through.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I definitely chose real estate because my passion in life is just to help people. And I feel like this is a wonderful outlet to do so.
Yeah.
I was a little stagnant at first, trying to be passionate about, how I was helping others because, as a new agent, you don't have so many opportunities at first,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in this market. But our owner here, Jim Brown, had come to see us, and he said something that spoke to me. He said, let real estate be used as a vehicle to do the things that you want to do in your life. And that really spoke to me at a time where I was like, I'm not quite sure how I could utilize this. And as soon as he said that, I went home, I made a logo, and then I wrote transforming lives through real estate. And that's just been like my number one agenda. And so I feel like I've been using that as my purpose with real estate, is to help transform people's lives. Because
Yeah.
in nursing, you get like a split moment, just a split moment to plant a seed. But with real estate, you really have truly a good amount of time to make a tremendous impact on somebody's life. So,
No doubt about it. And by the way, if you can get through everything you've been through up to this point, you can sell houses. And so what are some
yes.
things you've learned through that process in building a real estate business now over, a year and a half or whatever it is? What are some lessons you've learned, and how's that going for you?
I've learned multiple lessons. It's been going pretty good. It was a slow start. Like I said, I still had some challenges, another surgery I had to go through. But I have a wonderful mentor. Her name is Katie Aaron, and she's helped me quite a bit, and she's challenged me quite a bit. Um, I didn't really want to tell my story to too many people because I didn't want people to look at me differently or treat me any differently. I kind of told her briefly some things, and she just looked quickly past that and just gave me tips on what I needed to do. And every week we were meeting, and she would challenge me more and more to learn and to grow. Um, and I definitely learned a lot through her about growth and the importance of action and the importance of your presence. Even with Mel, like the power of presence is super strong, and I think that's helped me a lot with my business anyhow.
No doubt about it. And I'm thinking, if you can get through all that stuff, you can sing happy birthday on stage. There's no doubt about it. You
You know,
have been
I
Go
I
ahead.
thought brain surgery was one of the most challenging things, and I will tell you, standing up there in front of everybody was probably the most, because there was an ongoing joke saying, well, if Marisel can get through brain surgery and we can do this, standing up there, truly, if you can do that, you can probably do anything.
No doubt about it. It's great perspective, because it's easy for us to sit in the audience who know nothing about you and nothing about what you've been through, then to hear what you've been through and say things like, well, if you can do that, you can do this. But different fears and anxieties come to us at different times, and we just have to be, prepared to acknowledge them and then move through them. So what's your advice to someone that's experiencing fear in some way about their business or something going on in their world, about to acknowledge it and then move through it? What advice would you give?
I would definitely say that chance moments change the trajectory of your life. And it's not so much the how that you need to worry about, it's that you just need to keep doing what you're doing, because I really didn't do anything, and I impacted quite a bit of people just by being myself and being present, and was able to make such an impact on so many people in such a short amount of time, that if you were to actually put all your energy and your presence and your personality, you could really accomplish so much more. But I feel like sometimes we lie to ourselves and we hold ourselves back. So I would just say that when it's too hard to believe, to keep believing, because it's better to believe so you can see than seeing to believe.
Mm. Uh, Mel Robbins posted the picture, the selfie of the two of you on her Instagram to her 5 million followers. She has 5 million followers, and she shared this photo with them. And she said in it, you were the perfect person to be called out of the crowd. And there's no doubt about it. You absolutely were. You have taught us so much about how to move through our fears and stay focused. But my last question for you is, which selfie you took that day was your favorite? Was it this one or was it this one? I'm just real
Oh,
curious.
I don't know. That one looks pretty good.
Yeah, don't lie. It's definitely this one. It's definitely
Yeah,
this
that
one.
one is definitely super impactful, very impactful. I'm so appreciative that God used me in this way because it's not so much about me, but it's more the process that everybody was able to see, with me doing this. But I learned two big things that day. I learned, to move through your fears, but I also learned that our thoughts about what other people's perception on us are not real at all. In doing that, there was so much empathy, so much support, and so much love. It almost shows like how interconnected we truly are as humans. And definitely the power of a hug. I think I had hundreds of hugs that day. And even like by mid afternoon, I was still shaking. And it just felt so good to have that empathy, the compassion from everybody, truly.
Well, thank you for teaching us by accepting that challenge from her. Thank you for sharing your story with us. We are praying for great health for your son. We're praying for your whole family. We're praying for you. How are
Thank
you
you.
doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
Good. We're so glad. I can't imagine all the stuff you've been through, and yet here you are sharing your story, and what you're doing is transforming lives through real estate, just like you said you would
Yes,
do.
yeah. Ironic enough, that was, that's what my logo and my motto was going to be. And like I said, don't worry about the how, because God will figure it out. I had no idea when I made that a year ago that I would actually transform that many people's life in that short of time. So, like I said, you never know. You
Well, you
never know.
transformed
So just
mine
keep
and many others.
believing.
I'm so proud of you. You transformed mine and many others. Thank you for sharing your story
Thank
with us.
you.
Many blessings to you, and go out and continue to transform lives through real estate. Marisel, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.